Welcome back to Smart Garden, fellow gardeners. If you've ever looked at your cucumber plants with disappointment, wondering why they're not producing those crisp, refreshing vegetables you were dreaming of, you're definitely not alone. Cucumbers are one of the most rewarding vegetables to grow in your garden, offering incredible versatility from fresh salads to homemade pickles. But they're also surprisingly sensitive to common growing mistakes that can turn your gardening dreams into frustrating failures. The truth is, most cucumber growing problems stem from just a handful of easily avoidable mistakes that even experienced gardeners sometimes make. Today, we're diving deep into these pitfalls and, more importantly, showing you exactly how to sidestep them for a bountiful cucumber harvest that will have your neighbors asking for your secrets. One of the most critical mistakes gardeners make is treating location selection as an afterthought, simply planting cucumbers wherever there's available space. Your cucumber plants are sun worshippers that demand at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight daily, and settling for anything less will result in weak, spindly plants that produce few, if any, quality fruits. When scouting your garden, it's important to observe how sunlight moves across potential planting areas throughout the day. That spot that looks perfect in the morning might, be completely shaded by afternoon shadows from your house, fence, or even neighboring trees. Cucumbers grown in insufficient light become leggy as they stretch desperately toward whatever sun they can find, making them more susceptible to diseases and, dramatically reducing their fruit production. Beyond sunlight, you'll want to consider air circulation in your chosen location. Stagnant air around cucumber plants creates the perfect breeding ground for fungal diseases that can honestly devastate your crop. Many gardeners assume that cucumbers, being relatively easy to grow, can thrive in any soil conditions. But honestly, this misconception leads to one of the most common and devastating mistakes in cucumber cultivation. Cucumbers are heavy feeders with shallow root systems that really require exceptionally well-draining, nutrient-rich soil to perform at their best. Poor drainage is perhaps the biggest soil-related mistake you can make. Cucumbers planted in heavy clay soil or areas where water pools after rain will quickly develop root rot, yellowing leaves, and stunted growth. Before planting, you should test your soil drainage by digging a hole about 12 inches deep and filling it with water. If water remains after 24 hours, you'll need to amend your soil with compost-aged manure or consider raised beds. The ideal soil pH for cucumbers ranges between 6.0 and 7.0, which is, slightly acidic to neutral. Soil that's too acidic or alkaline actually prevents proper nutrient uptake, leading to deficiency symptoms even when fertilizer is present. Improper planting depth and spacing represent fundamental mistakes that can sabotage your cucumber crop before it even gets started. Many gardeners plant cucumber seeds too deeply, thinking, deeper is better for root development. However, cucumber seeds should only be planted about 1 inch deep in warm soil, typically when soil temperatures consistently reach 65 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. Planting too deeply delays germination and, can cause seeds to rot before they sprout, especially in cooler soil conditions. Conversely, planting too shallow leaves seeds vulnerable to drying out and being disturbed by watering or weather. When transplanting seedlings, plant them at the same depth they were growing in their containers, and just be careful not to bury the stem deeper than necessary. Spacing mistakes are equally problematic, with overcrowding being the most common error. Cucumber plants need adequate space for proper air circulation and light penetration. Water management represents perhaps the most nuanced aspect of cucumber growing, where both overwatering and underwatering can quickly destroy your plants. Overwatering is surprisingly common, especially among enthusiastic new gardeners who believe more water equals better growth. Constantly soggy soil around cucumber roots creates anaerobic conditions that promote root rot and fungal diseases. The key to proper watering lies in understanding that cucumbers prefer consistently moist but never waterlogged soil. Check soil moisture by inserting your finger 2 inches deep near the plant base. If the soil feels dry at this depth, it's time to water deeply and thoroughly. This encourages deep root development and helps plants become more drought-resistant. Underwatering presents its own challenges, causing cucumber plants to become stressed and bitter. Stressed plants often drop flowers and developing fruits, dramatically reducing your harvest. Cucumber plants are notorious heavy feeders that quickly deplete soil nutrients, yet many gardeners make the mistake of treating them like low-maintenance crops. Under-fertilized cucumber plants produce fewer, smaller fruits and are more susceptible to pest and disease problems. However, over-fertilization, particularly with nitrogen-heavy fertilizers, can be equally problematic, promoting excessive leaf growth at the expense of fruit production. Start by incorporating plenty of compost or well-aged manure into your planting area before seeding or transplanting. This provides slow-release nutrients throughout the growing season. Once your plants begin flowering, it's a good idea to switch to a balanced fertilizer with just a bit more phosphorus and potassium to support fruit development. A fertilizer with an NPK ratio of 10-10-10 or 5-10-5 works really well for fruiting cucumber plants. You know, a lot of cucumber growing failures actually happen because folks are reactive instead of proactive when it comes to pest and disease management. By the time you spot cucumber beetles chewing holes in the leaves or notice powdery mildew coating the foliage, well, significant damage has often already taken place. Cucumber beetles are honestly one of the most serious pest threats out there. Not only do they cause direct feeding damage, but they can also transmit bacterial wilt disease, which can unfortunately kill entire plants. Using row covers during early plant establishment is an excellent way to protect your crop, but remember, those covers need to come off once flowering begins so pollination can happen. Oh, and companion planting with radishes, marigolds, or nasturtiums can help deter these pests naturally, which is pretty neat. Powdery mildew and downy mildew are common fungal diseases that, really thrive in humid conditions with poor air circulation. To prevent these problems, make sure you provide adequate spacing between your plants, avoid overhead watering, and, whenever possible, choose disease-resistant varieties. Perhaps the most overlooked mistake in cucumber growing occurs at harvest time, when poor timing and technique can waste weeks of careful cultivation. Many gardeners wait too long to begin harvesting, allowing cucumbers to become oversized, seedy, and, bitter. Regular harvesting actually encourages continued production, while leaving mature fruits on the vine signals the plant to stop producing new flowers and fruits. Most cucumber varieties are best harvested when they're about 6 to 8 inches long for slicing types or 2 to 4 inches for pickling varieties, depending on your intended use. The fruit should be firm, bright green, and show no signs of yellowing. Check your plants daily once fruit production begins, as cucumbers can grow surprisingly quickly during warm weather. Use sharp garden shears or a knife to harvest cucumbers rather than pulling them off by hand, which can damage the vine and reduce future production. Cut the stem about a 1/4 inch above the fruit, leaving a small stub that will dry and fall off naturally. Handle harvested cucumbers gently to avoid bruising, and get them out of direct sun as quickly as possible to maintain their crisp texture and fresh flavor. Ready to transform your cucumber growing game? Hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss our latest smart gardening tips and tricks. Share this guide with fellow gardeners who could use these game-changing insights, and let us know in the comments which cucumber growing mistake you've been making. Remember, every gardening expert was once a beginner who learned from their mistakes. Now you can skip the common pitfalls and head straight to cucumber growing success.